Let's try and define personalization, because one of the tricky things about personalization I've noticed is that everybody has a slightly different meaning for it. So how would you define personalization? And also, your bonus question, how would you define it compared to segmentation?
Okay, so let's first start with personalization. So basically, if you look really simple at it, what you could say is that it's unique content for a unique user. So based on your behavior or your demographics, you will get unique content. And if you compare it to segmentation, I think segmentation can be a form of personalization where you say, hey, if you're part of a group, so you're part of a location, geolocation, then you will get this experience.
Okay.
So for me, it's a flavor of, so within personalization, you can say, hey, you can have one-on-one, which is the most difficult one. And of course, the most expensive one, because you need to create a really unique content. And yeah, you could give groups of people, which is basically the segmentation, also a personal experience.
Okay, so on the highest level, segmentation would be like, is it a man or a woman? And that might affect what we do. Whereas personalization is saying, okay, I know this is Ollie. Yeah. And because I know it's Ollie and I know certain specific things about Ollie, I can do something unique just for Ollie. Right.
So the more you know, basically, the more you can make it personal or unique.
Personalization seems pretty intimidating for people. Yeah. When someone first of all looks at personalization, you're like, oh wow, this is a lot. This is an order of magnitude more complicated than serving up a normal web experience.
Yeah.
So how would you start, and what's a reasonable sort of things to start doing with personalization if you want to get off the starting line?
First, start with the no-brainers. So there are certain tactics that we know that really helps boost conversion. One of them is the abandoned cart. So if you start acting on that via email or those kind of triggers, then that really helps to boost conversion. And yeah, you don't need to do your research for that before you can start with the whole process. So I would say start with those kind of tactics.
Okay, and in this case, you're getting the information right because you know that person left those things in their cart, so they're providing you with the personal information.
You're Ollie, and you are remembered on the website, so you can check out in 2 clicks instead of filling in 20 forms.
Yes, which can be dangerous, I've noticed.
Which can be dangerous because you really can do the impulse buying. Yes. And yeah, that is what makes it really. So I don't think that personalization often is seen as a big confusing topic, but it's not always the case because there are like these simple things that you can do to make experience really convenient. Actually,
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think there's a bit of a holy grail with personalization where people think I can create a completely unique, bespoke experience, but actually, when you start realizing that all personalization really is using what you know about someone to improve the experience, it's actually quite a diverse set of things. The tricky thing, those sorts of tactics work well with higher volume types of purchases because there's a lot of repeat history. Yeah. What sort of things would fall under personalization for, say, brands where they have a much smaller number of transactions and they're higher value? Like we keep using the examples in other talks of strollers, for example, but you're not going to be able to use my history in buying baby strollers on your site to recommend a new baby stroller, most likely.
No, but yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the strollers. Typically, the stroller journey takes a lot of interactions with a brand. I think, yeah, when you have a stroller, what you can do is nobody knows how to buy a stroller. So what would be convenient there is have a guided sales tool, so to say, and guided sales tools are really good for getting to know your customer better. So you could think, where do you use the stroller for? Is it for walk in the forest, or is it for the beach, or do you live in the city or somewhere else? So what do you need to go into public transport, those kind of things. And yeah, if you ask those things, then you can use that in their follow-up experience, so to say. And typically, if you have like a journey of 4 months, then yeah, you could use that in all those moments afterwards.
Right. So it's a key, it's a data capture thing there. So the key is, for instance, if you have from what I'm understanding, if you have, for instance, a product finder in
Yeah.
your product catalog and you're filtering down and saying, okay, I need a stroller for 2 kids, then at that point, rather than just dumping that data, you want to save that data and associate it with that visitor, so you know that they were spending their time looking at strollers for 2 kids, and then you can log that they've got 2 kids, for example.
Yeah. And next time they can visit, you can show them strollers that support 2 kids or that support their need on walking on the beach or those kind of things. So you can really use that content.
In terms of other types of opportunities then, so there's reusing the information that someone gave you on the site in that way. What are some other types of examples? For instance, if I'm assuming things like geolocation as well would fall under personalization.
Geolocation is a big one. The Netherlands is a small country, but you can, if you have bigger countries, then you can do different things based on that location. We're working for Intersport, so if somebody in Spain has different, how do you say, a different climate, so and different sports than people in Denmark, so you can take the right products and serve them based on your geolocation. Mm. But also it's live events. So it can be based on temperature. So if it's sunny outside, you can sell different products and show different products than when it's raining. So you can really be topical with those kind of things.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I've also seen a lot of success in what I would call, once you know a bit about someone, and you know the journey they're on, you can make predictions about what they're going to need. The example of personalization that I'm very familiar with is for Pampers, which I worked on. And what we realized was that once you know the age of the baby, you pretty much know everything, because you know as babies age how they change. And so you could start to, just through that one piece of data, you could predict, okay, when are they going to need different products? When might they have cross-sell and upsell opportunities as well?
Yeah, and that's also a very predictable journey. So if you're starting from the pregnancy, then you can create content basically on the need. So then you have your newborn, which is a unique moment. Then what are you going to do with your baby? So you can make a unique content and really support that journey in a personal way. So yeah.
Do we, in terms of implementing this, because it's one of those things that sounds great in theory, but in practice, can feel very difficult. So is there just out of the box software? Or does it involve very complicated data schema design and needing data analysts and constructing all sorts of data models? Or what's a sensible way to think about the technical and skills that would be needed to do this?
So a lot of these functionalities come out of the box. So if you have the abandoned carts, you can do that immediately. So if you're going into the more guided selling, you need to implement that, of course, because you need to build that profile. But then again, that's also not rocket science, so to say. So that is like, I would say, if you have the t-shirt sizes, it would be like a medium thing to do. So I think if you start small, it's really doable.
Because I know also we do a lot of stuff with Salesforce. Yeah. Do you have any views on, they call it, their personalization tools have loosely been labeled Einstein. Do you have any insights into what that offers and how that works? I know Einstein, for instance, does a lot with search as well.
Yeah, so I think that the Einstein, it's the AI service of Salesforce. And actually, it's quite easy to implement. The only thing that you need to do here is that it needs to listen for 4 weeks to everything that is happening on your platform. And after that, you can use it right away, so to say. So it takes some time, and it works really nice. And you can use it in several ways. So basically, normally your lister page is often sorted on relevance or on popularity or on price, but now it can be sorted on your unique way, so on your preferences, and search the same way, so it can support your needs in the on-site search. So if you're searching on a sporting platform, it can be totally different than I'm doing it.
Right. I always find it very funny when people wave, because Google does this very well, of course. And I always find it funny when people wave Google results and say, hey, look at these Google results. You know, we have to do something about that. But I'm like, you realize those Google results are just your results. And if I type in,
Yeah.
I'm going to get different results. And Yap over here is going to get different results. And Sarah over there is going to get different results,
Yeah.
because Google's personalized everything results. So the idea of being top in the Google search results is a very, very movable feast, should we say.
Yeah.
So it seems like then the way, because there's some heavy lifting going on there technically, which is that what Einstein is doing is it's basically doing the sort of Amazon inspired, people like you also did other stuff. So it's
Yeah.
looking at common patterns with it based on other types of users. So we're looking at the whole site and saying, okay, people who frequently are interested in this category are interested in that category.
Yeah.
So doing that kind of comparison as well, because that's a technically complicated thing to do. You wouldn't want to build that yourself.
No, you wouldn't want to go into that. But luckily, those tools are at our fingertips, so to say. So it's quite easy to start doing it.
Do you see? And this is because it's it's a similar word, because we talk about things being personal, and then we talk about things like personal shoppers and even voice or text or interfaces. Do you see that as a connection to personalization in your world, or is that something completely different? And is there an overlap?
Well, I'm sure think it's super interesting, and I don't think that you can get more personal than talking to a personal assistant. So it's like this is a really one-on-one connection with unique content. If you're looking at what a personal advisor say as content, but I see that as content as well. But then you have like maybe the most personal thing that you can do.
Sure. Well, yeah, in a sense, I mean, personalization is online is a nod to the fact that retail originally was entirely personal all the time, because it was a human buying from another human, and the salesperson in the store would give you a direct personal consult.
Yeah, and what you see is that once people start a personal conversation, that the likeliness that they will purchase a product is really going up. So it's really helping in getting people over the barrier of buying.
One of the things I've noticed is that do personalization properly is usually at the top or very near the top of most people's lists for something that they want to do that they haven't done. So why do you think it's been so hard for people to do it? Well, I've seen personalization top of requirements lists for a decade now.
Yeah.
And I've seen very few successful implementations of personalization, and I've seen next year's list have personalization at the top, and people say, oh, well, we didn't get round to it because.
Well, I think, and I really like this conversation, but I think it's because of people are making it too broad. Like, hey, we need to do personalization, but that is too vague, I think. So you really need to specify what you want to do and what the goal of it should be. So if you're saying, hey, I want to, boost my conversion, what can we do with personalization to do that? And then you can see in the shopper journey how to support it. Then you make it, I think, much more concrete, define proper goals on what you want to do, and then start doing that instead of doing personalization in general.
Yeah, that makes total sense, because it's that subject it's hard for a lot of people to pin down what it means. So that when people say they've got to do it, they're not sure what they've got to do, and so it's easy to get stuck. So when you start to break it down into these very specific things, such as retargeting or abandoned cart or geolocation around store and product availability in your area based on past behavior, it becomes very specific. That makes a lot of sense. I also have my own personal view on this, which is I think we're in very, very early days of personalization. It reminds me of some very early technologies in the web in other ways, in that I suspect that how we understand it and how it's done is going to evolve very rapidly over the years. So I think it's one of those, watch this space, expect dramatic changes in the types of features and functions available and how it works as well. So in terms of saying, okay, how do you do a complete holistic approach to personalization? I would say I wouldn't worry too much about it right now, because I don't think anyone could tell you what that really is. I think the best thing is to get good at the simple stuff make basic steps and watch as the platforms like Einstein get, you know, an order of magnitude more powerful over the next few years.
Yeah, and also you need to be aware of the pitfalls of personalization. So if you have like this really big inventory and you're only showing the things from your previous visit, then you could also have like the tunnel vision and really miss the opportunity of showing other stuff that your visitor might be interested in.
Yes, or also making certain assumptions. For instance, retargeting can go very wrong. You know, I might have visited an women's underwear website to show someone a piece of web design, and for the next 2 weeks, I'm getting bombarded with personalized women's underwear ads. So there has to be a recognition of context a bit, and that you shouldn't, what assumptions you make, you have to be a bit careful with, and you have to then double check that you're making the right media bias, for example, based on the data.
Yeah, and don't overdo it. On the other hand, so if somebody is searching on Google for cheap black hiking boots, then you really can use that on your site to show the right things and not the white expensive hiking boots, so to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Reading the incoming search terms is an extremely powerful way of doing that.
Yeah.
There was one other thing that I saw in the playbook that was interesting, which you call personalized social proof.
Yeah.
I guess that was kind of an interesting idea.
Yeah. So there are there are some examples that could be interesting. So let's say you're living in Amsterdam, you could highlight that somebody in Amsterdam as well bought the same product that you are looking at, which could be an interesting thing. So you could be really personal, but you could also do it in reviews. So let's say you're having a medium size that and the website knows that you're wearing medium, then you could highlight reviews based on your own sizes and people that are like you. So you could be more relevant on the content.
Right, that makes sense. I guess the ultimate version of that is what Facebook does when it's showing you brands that your friends like. But of course, Facebook can do that because everyone's on Facebook. You wouldn't normally have that reach, but that's sort of a lighter version of that, really.
Yeah.
Kind of, okay.
And that would be one step further and even more personal, but that would be, I think that would work really, really well.